Well, I have a love of sports and a love of local sports. I have a license with the University of Kansas, and I've kind of got my start making work about the Jayhawks and kind of for the Jayhawks. And then in 2020, when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, there had been a 50-year drought since Kansas City had brought home a championship. It was a big, big deal. I'm sure everybody remembers that. And in that moment when we won in 2020 and that confetti cannon went off, that was just this very iconic, visceral moment of something that was tangible and part of a championship. You know, most of us watching from home, and feeling that moment of excitement was so wonderful, and I wanted a physical way to remember that forever. And so in 2020, I reached out on social media and said to my network, does anyone know anyone who was at the game? And through that, I was connected to Ryan Toma, who is a groundskeeper for the Chiefs and who is also the son of legendary groundskeeper George Toma. And in 2020, he brought me back a bag of confetti, which I used to make a large painting. Pretty cool. So this year, again, I reached out to Ryan a little before the game and just said, you know, hypothetically, if we were to win, I don't want to talk about it at all, except for, you know, are you going to be there? Are you groundskeeping again? All of that. And he said yes, and, you know, said, I'll bring you some confetti again if we do win. And it was like, okay, case closed. We will not speak again until after the game. He brought me a black trash bag with about, you know, it's hard to explain, but as I laid it out, it filled one of my studio tables to dry. So it was a pretty good amount, enough to fill over 200 shadow boxes. It was pretty cool to get the opportunity to make a piece of art to celebrate a championship again in such a short amount of time, as the Chiefs have gone to 3 Super Bowls in the past 4 years. Is, you know, pretty cool. The piece of art to celebrate this win is the letters LVII, obviously, from the Super Bowl. And so there was a large original painting that I created that incorporated some of that confetti and lots of big splatters of ink and color. You know, this thing felt so celebratory and like a party in Kansas City. And I wanted a way to take that large piece and to share it with some of that confetti with more people. So I had this idea to create a shadow box which I could drop the confetti into that can move around freely as you kind of shake it up like a snow globe. And then it, you know, falls and reminds you of that moment when the confetti cannons went off. It kind of freezes that in time forever. You know, that's the moment that when I think about that night, with being with my family, watching my kids run around, the moment that really sticks in my mind is watching that confetti rain down. And I wanted a way to freeze that in time and also to have that physical connection back to that moment that we brought home a championship. The Midwest has always been my muse. It's the place and the people and kind of the ethos that inspires me. So a lot of my work is Midwestern in nature. I've painted bison and sunflowers, a lot of which I started to really paint when we moved back to Kansas City, and just feeling that sense of place and home and putting down roots and wanting to celebrate the things that make Kansas City what it is. So that also includes more pop culture heroes like Ted Lasso, whom has made the world look at Kansas City and the Midwest, I think, in a different way. And that makes me feel really proud.